Welcome to the Counts of the Cobblestone Car Show. We're with the Studebaker Drivers Club, and we have lots of stuff for you to come down here and see.
Alrighty. Hi, my name's Tom Cantrell. I'm with the Studebaker Drivers Club out of Rapid City, South Dakota. Today I have with me my 1970 Avanti 2. And a lot of people think this is a Studebaker, and it technically is not. But what it is built on the original chassis with the original body parts, a lot of the original interior. When Studebaker closed up shop in November of '63, there was a ton of the bodies and the frames left over. They just left them there in the factory, just abandoned them. Well, Newman and Alton, which were a couple of guys who were heavily involved with the design of this car, made a deal with Studebaker Corporation in '67. They bought the rights to the car. They bought all the remaining parts. But they couldn't use the name. So the difference between like this car and a true 1963-64 Avanti is we're missing the, so they actually ran out of those, but we're missing all the Studebaker emblems that would have been on the quarter panels, the rear, and up on the hood. They just couldn't use that anymore, so they came up with some new emblems. They got the Avanti and then the 2 to designate that this is not an earlier car. This is the same headlights they were using in the 64 model. Same bumpers. I understand these marker lights might be a little different. Mirrors obviously are different. And this particular car is not 100% stock. The 70 Avanti 2 had the low back buckets that the original 63 had. And they were very uncomfortable. I had a 63 for 10 years and they were not comfortable. So somebody at some point got some seats out of a later one, probably late 70s, maybe even up to early 80s, and they retrofitted those seats into this car. So they're Recaro seats with speakers in the headrest, and they're actually pretty comfortable. They're nice. They're nice seats. Now this particular car has a small block Chevy in it. In '67, when they started building these cars, of course there was no Studebaker engines left. They used a 327 small block Chevy. By 1970, they were using 350s. They say it's a Corvette 350, but in 1970, a Corvette 350 was really nothing special, just a base motor. Does retain the original Borg-Warner transmission that Studebaker used in '63, '64. Same rear end. The gauge package is all the same. York AC compressor, same brake booster. I mean, it really, truly is as close to an original Avanti as you can get, but built later with a small block Chevy. I'm pretty confident, can't say with 100% certainty, but I'm pretty confident this is the original car in 1970. One other interesting feature is it has Magnum 500 wheels, and these are in excellent shape. They're actually kind of rare at this point in time. Much later Avantis, they use, we're talking like late 80s, they were using an aluminum wheel that resembled this wheel, but they weren't the same. The car even has a matching spare. There's a fifth Magnum 500 wheels in the trunk. Other than that, there's a few things like the rear view mirrors in the same location as the originals, but of course, the original one was smaller and it was chrome. This is a modern mirror on an original stem.
This is a 1958 Studebaker four-wheel drive truck. We bought it in 1989 and finished it up in 2017. We took it to the International Studebaker meet in South Bend, Indiana in 2017, and anything that won at least 350 out of 400 points got a first place. So there was all kinds of first place vehicles there, and this thing only got 394 out of 400. And we called Mom's truck because one of the gals she worked with in Laramie's dad had been the Studebaker dealer, and they had this truck down on their ranch. And it was in very tough shape. To get it going, we had a trailer at home. And then when I checked the differentials, the front and back differentials, they were full of water. So I had to find a different rear differential that we got out of Special Interest Autos in St. Louis. We got the last NOS front axle from Studebaker International. and we got that put together, and it had been a rancher's truck who raised sheep. Also, the original body was in such bad shape that we bought a black and white Studebaker four-wheel drive truck in Montana and went and got that and brought that back to use to finish this thing up.
It's been a labor of love and perseverance, and Rob is so proud of his truck.
Okay, my name's Dave Hammerquist. I own a 1940 Studebaker Commander. The car was built by Jim Newsel. It was started in 1998, 1999, and was on the road shortly thereafter. Some of the first pictures, they actually had regular license plates, but this car has had the low-fat 40 license plate since 2000 or 2001. So it's been low-fat 40 in a lot of years. But Jim put a 1994, he always called it a Corvette engine, but technically I went by some parts for it. It was not fit this engine, so I believe it was just a Pontiac Firebird engine. But still a good little V8, runs down the road real nice. He had a special front-end suspension kit to mount Chrysler Cordoba torsion bar front suspension on the car. So it just rides like a dream. So, and it's heavy enough you don't really feel much for bumps or anything. So it's a great, great road car. But Jim finished it up, and he had a real eye for design. All the layout of the paint and some of the little details, Jim thought of lots of stuff. Like maybe we can get a zoom in on the upholstery here. He had Cadillac leather seats, but he had them reupholstered with the Studebaker Lazy S. So they look like Studebaker seats rather than Cadillac seats. And he did things like on the front wheels, there's a little chrome hubcap. They're just called Baby Moons. But he had somebody build up a little jig so they could mount a bullet nose emblem on the Cadillac hubcap, and it makes it look like a factory wheel. They're just chrome wheels, but it just looks sharp. And he always loved the looks of the big wide white walls. And so he had this car dressed up the way he really, really wanted it. It's been like this for 25 years or more. So unfortunately, the paint has seen its little better days. I was working on it here a year ago and slammed the door in the middle of winter, and some of the paint flaked off. So got a lot of work to do on it yet, but it's been a good car. It drives nice, like I say. So Jim did a great job.
And I brought this car up here to the show this year. I just bought it about a month ago. A 51 Studebaker Champion Regal four-door sedan. Friends of mine's had it. They had it stored for quite a few years. They bought it way back in the 80s. Hadn't done too much with it. I knew the car before they had it. They had it belonged to another members down there in Scotts Bluff. And so they wanted to get it running. The guys called me several years ago, wanted to get it running. So I went and helped them got it running. They had some other cars to get going too. And at the time, I didn't really know if I was ever going to buy a car. But here just recently, we talked to the son of the people that had it, and he said that they'd like to sell it to keep it in the Studebaker family too. So that's when I decided, well, it might be something I'd like to have. So we talked about it, made a deal, and I ended up buying it. And I've done a few things on it, and still got a few more things to go on it. But
hi, I'm Bruce Peterson, a new member to the South Dakota Studebaker Club. I live in Belpouche, South Dakota. This is a 34 Commodore I got from a buddy of mine. I've been trying to get it from him for years. He's had it for about 10, 12 years. And he finally had a heart attack. And so his wife knew I was drooling over it for the years. So she basically sold it to me because he was going to hot rod it. And I told him not to do it. And so basically it's about 7 months worth of work to get this thing to where it is now. It's not totally finished, but it's close. And they're unique little cars. There wasn't many of them made. They were only around a little over $1,000, brand new. And they were one of the cars in 34 that saved Studebaker. At least they give it the credit of it, because people bought over 10,000 of these things. So they were pretty happy with the sales, because they only had 40-some thousand cars they made that year, and 10,000 of them were these. And people loved them. And I think it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's got, synchronized transmission. It's got a floating rear end in them. That's just the way they came. It's got a straight 8 in it, flathead, and 119 horse. 119, yeah. And it'll do between 45 and 50 all day long. That's about it for the running of it anyway. But it's fun.
Hi, I'm Dick Dittman, and this is my 1960 Studebaker Lark 8 wagon, 4-door, the second year of the Lark station wagon, and it's the first year that the Lark station wagon came in a 4-door. It's a cheaper model, and 1960 was also the start of the Vietnam War. And so it's kind of, that's why the hats are there. And I was a Vietnam era veteran. And this is my mother's aunt and uncle's original car. It was bought in Brookings, South Dakota in November of 1959. And I didn't get it in this condition, but I took it over from the family and taught my kids. We got to do some mechanical work on it for the daughter and my son, my youngest son. And we also learned a little bit of welding. And then I says, I'm only going to do probably one car. And so I had it done professionally. And I'm really glad I did. I get at least 100 smiles a mile. And the what is because on the license plate is because the people will say, what's a Lark 8? Or one kid said, what's a Lark VIII? Well, you got to remember your Roman numerals, but you never get to see Studebaker until until the car is going away from you. And so that's why it is a what. But have really enjoyed the car. I got it done in 2004. So this year it's 21 years since I've had it restored and really enjoyed it.